Hey there everyone, this is Samuel Johnson and welcome back to the Xiaolin Perspectives, and today we're going to be discussing episode 48 of Xiaolin Showdown, Chucky Choo, and as you do, the episode begins with the Xiaolin monks looking for a new Shengong Wu. In this case, this is a Shengong Wu called the Kazuzu Atom. A Shengong Wu it's basically a death ray. It basically has the power to disintegrate anything that you blast it with, which... yeah, very dangerous Shengong Wu. Although the trip to finding the Shengong Wu gets nearly sidetracked because Dojo ends up getting a call from Master Feng, and apparently he gets jealous because there's apparently another dragon wandering around the Xiaolin Temple, and, well, Dojo is very unhealthily attached to Master Feng, and apparently has not stopped bugging him since he got assigned to Master Monk Wan's temple with the Xiaolin monks. Point is, they nearly get sidetracked, but eventually the Xiaolin warriors do manage to find where the Kazuzu Atom is, which is located in a waterfall slash pond slash river, and as such, using the gills of Hamachi, which apparently the effects can be shared among various people if everyone is touching whoever activates them when, well, he activates it, the Xiaolin monks all end up diving into a lake or pond, and do end up finding the Kazuzu Atom. But of course, as you do, they run into Jack Spicer and his team of fish bots, which are really dolphin bots, but he calls them fish bots, and of course a fight breaks out with Jack claiming the Kazuzu Atom. The Xiaolin monks end up taking care of his robots and go to fight him, but just as they have Jack Spicer cornered, he ends up pulling out his own bits of Shengong Wu, including the Thorn of Thunderbolts and the Silk Spitter. Only instead of shooting lightning and silk, it instead shoots out confetti. And then when he tries to hide using the Shroud of Shadows, nothing happens. Why? They're fake. Yeah, because the thing is, earlier in the episode, we actually saw a bunch of villains and baddies going to, it looks like, I don't know, it was like just kind of a little basically just a back alley shop where we saw this rather tan dragon in a Hawaiian shirt and a wig selling what he claimed to be genuine Shengong Wu. And of course, a bunch of villains, which I probably just said, went out to go and get that, including Jack Spicer, Wuya, Cyclops, a rock monster apparently, Mime, Vlad, and I swear to God, the Nightmare Squirrel from Omi's Nightmares. I don't know how that thing is still around, but it is, and they all want it. But yeah, it basically all the Shengong Wu were fake, and he basically conned them. So, of course, Jack wound up going into this battle with a bunch of fake Wu, which in turn allowed the Xiaolin monks to just take the Kazuzu Atom right off him while he thought he was invisible, and then after that, they just got on Dojo and let Jack Spicer fall down a waterfall because Jack Spicer is kind of a fool. Either way, the Xiaolin monks end up returning to Master Monk Wan's temple, believing that they can hide the Kazuzu Atom. Sorry, I'm mispronouncing its name. But of course, that's when they end up running into that dragon, although Dojo isn't around when the Xiaolin monks first encounter this dragon. And basically, this dragon ends up putting on the waterworks and talking about how he's tired, he traveled a long way, he could really use something to eat, blah, blah, blah. And the Xiaolin monks, being polite, do offer him a chance to stay at the temple, and, well, he just moves in right away, and he does immediately start charming the Xiaolin monks with fun little stories. Although when Dojo finally ends up seeing this dragon, well, he tries to throttle him. Why? Because apparently this dragon is actually a relative of Dojo's. His name, well, as the title of the episode implies, is Chucky Choo. And apparently he did Dojo wrongs at some point in time by stealing the family yo-yo, which I kind of remember Dojo mentioning at one point in some episode. If you asked me which episode it was, I just stare at you blankly because, again, it's only like a faint remembrance. I don't know which episode it was, but I don't care. Point is, Dojo has a grudge against Chucky, and he basically just wants him gone because, well, he's a con man, and everywhere he goes, he just brings trouble. Of course, once Dojo says this, Chucky Choo does confirm the story, but it's less out of a sense of guilt for his past actions, and more like he's just trying to put on the waterwork so he doesn't get kicked to the curb. As such, it seems to sort of work, as the Xiaolin monks don't object to him staying for a while longer, and Dojo doesn't end up trying to kill him, although he does bite his hand, which I find hilarious. However, to try and make peace with Dojo, he does end up going to see him, and he does offer him the family yo-yo back, which Dojo happily accepts. As such, he and Chucky end up going out later, and Dojo begins practicing with the yo-yo, but unfortunately, this little outing gets interrupted when Jack Spicer, Wuya, and the Cyclops arrive, because again, they were sold fake Shengong Wu, and someone has to pay. As such, the bad guys end up capturing Dojo, and they pretty much just they just tell Chucky, get us some real Shengong Wu, or else this little guy is gonna pay. As such, the Xiaolin monks eventually catch wind of Dojo's capture because, for some reason, Wuya decided to make a web page advertising that they were selling Dojo for Shengong Wu. there's an evil form. I'm not surprised, honestly. And eventually the bad guys do make themselves clear, like a second after the good guys find the webpage. And as such, a fight ends up breaking out as the Cyclops and Jack Spicer end up basically distracting the Xiaolin monks while Wuya goes into the Shengong Wu vault to grab whatever Wu she can. And unfortunately, the Xiaolin monks are kind of given a handicap because Chucky Choo swapped out their Wu-Dai weapons for fakes. As such, all hell is breaking out on the temple grounds as Wu is doing whatever she can, but in the midst of the chaos, the Cyclops wound up losing his grip on Dojo, and in the midst of everything, he basically got, well, I'm just gonna say drop-kicked right into the air, and he wound up falling right into the temple, just as Wuya made a grab for the Orb of Tournami. And so when he lands, he ends up landing on it just as she grabs it, and so Wuya ends up challenging Dojo to a Xiaolin showdown, with, oddly enough, I don't think either of them wager Shengong Wu in this battle. Why? Well, according to the Xiaolin Showdown rulebook, which Chucky Choo has a copy of, I'm guessing that all dragons have a copy of that thing, apparently, if a mystical dragon takes part in a Xiaolin Showdown, they can go in without needing to wager a single Shengong Wu as long as they don't have a criminal record. Which I guess kind of means that when Dojo went nuts before, he didn't need to wager the Fist of Tebigong, but whatever. Point is, I guess that also means that maybe Wuya doesn't have to wager a Shengong Wu, or if she did wager a Shengong Wu, I just don't remember it. But point is, it means that Dojo doesn't have to wager anything. But since Wuya is the one that challenged Dojo, she has the challenge be just Xiaolin pinball. Whoever gets a million points first will be declared the winner. And so, terms met, Xiaolin Showdown is declared as everyone is transported into space, with Wuya and Dojo being put inside a pinball machine. It's weird, but I'm honestly kind of into it. It's kind of cool. But either way, Showdown commences, and Dojo and Wuya are making some good headway, though Dojo is actually getting ahead in points, as he manages to hit enough bumpers and to get enough points, and it looks like he's about to win, but then Wuya manages to turn the tables on him as she manages to get him thrown off the board, and then when he gets thrown back on, well, she's already gotten enough points, and she basically uses him as her ball, and then before eventually knocking him down again, before she just kind of stands in the middle of two bumpers and just lets them react to her, which in turn caused her points to go up, which also unfortunately means that she wins the showdown, winning the Orb of Tournami and also the grab bag of Shengong Wu. As such, when everyone returns back to the temple, and of course Dojo is apologetic for losing the showdown, but the Xiaolin monks are like, well, you gave it your best shot, that's fine. But before the bad guys can run off with their Shengong Wu, Wuya wants to make sure that these things are legit, and so she grabs the Kazuzu Atom and tries to use it to wipe out the Xiaolin monks. But when she activates it, instead the bag of Shengong Wu gets vaporized. So, yeah, that basically means that they just went through all this for nothing. As such, Jack actually makes fun of Wuya because technically she fucked up this time, and Wuya being pissy just kind of storms off with Jack and the Cyclops following after. As such, the good guys are a little saddened by the fact that they technically lost their Wu too. Only for Chucky Choo to let them know something. That Kazozu Atom that Wuya had, it was fake. He swapped it out. In fact, all the Shengong Wu in that bag were fake. But of course the question is raised, well, one, they saw it get vaporized, and two, if they were fake, where's the real Shengong Wu? Well, for starters, apparently Chucky has the real Kazozu Atom, and basically pointed it at the fake Shengong Wu when Wuya activated her fake one. But as for the location of the real Shengong Wu, it turned out that while no one was looking, Chucky Choo used the changing chopsticks to hide all of them up Dojo's nose. Don't ask me when he had the opportunity. Well, actually, scratch that. He could have had the opportunity since apparently some time passed between Dojo's capture and the assault on Guan's temple. So he could have done that when no one was looking and Dojo was too distracted. But how did he even do that? Maybe it would probably mean that he shrunk them down first, then stuck them up his. I don't know. No, that also means that he would have had that at some point, that means that after the Xiaolin showdown, he would have had to have grabbed the Orb of Tournami as well, since by virtue of Wuya winning that showdown, she would have won the orb. So, I don't know, it's weird, but point is, it means that the Xiaolin monks do have all their Shengong Wu back, and while everyone's happy that Chucky did end up helping them in the end, well, he does get a little bit of karma as Dojo turns the Orb of Tournami on him, just to be sure it works. But either way, when all is said and done, the Xiaolin monks, well, They go back to their temple. They go back to the Xiaolin temple because, like I said, Dojo was kind of missing Master Funk something fierce. And, well, with Chucky Choo there, Guan decided to let him be the temple dragon, meaning that Dojo is no longer required there, so everyone can now go home fit as a fiddle. And so the episode ends as Dojo is just happy to be with Master Funk again, and on top of that, he's happy to finally have gotten the family yo-yo back. Only to see there's a label on the back that says it was made in Mexico. So, that was a fake too. But whatever. So, yeah, that was Chucky Choo. My thoughts on it? I don't know. I can say I do kind of like it for the comedic value, I suppose. But in terms of overall quality, it's just sort of... to me. It's not, awful. I won't call this, a pointless episode. This is the episode where the Xiaolin monks do end up finally going back to the Xiaolin temple, and I will dare say that there is some fun to be had in the episode. I like to talk about the new Shengang Wu, the Kazozu Atom. Again, I swear to God, I'm constantly mispronouncing that name. It's, again, a pretty damn cool Shengang Wu. I don't know if it appears in the remaining few episodes after this, but, again, it's essentially a death ray. It can vaporize anything you turn it on, so, kind of a big deal, honestly, so I can understand why people would probably want that, as it's very fucking deadly. But as for the rest of the episode, I don't really understand. I kind of don't know what the moral of the episode is. I suppose you could argue that maybe it's that everyone deserves a second chance, but honestly, I don't even know if Chucky Choo had an arc in this episode. In fact, let's talk about Chucky Choo for a minute. The dude's kind of annoying. And I understand that was kind of the point, but unlike other annoying characters, I don't feel like he had much of an arc to him. Basically, from start to finish, he was a con man. He's likable in his own sense, and you can understand why he's lived for as long as he has. Because it's clear that he does have a sort of magnetic personality. As after all, when he came to live at Guan's temple, he was at first the Xiaolin monks were clearly a little suspect of him, but all they had to do was just hear some of his stories and they were enraptured. So they clearly did like the guy enough to tolerate him. And I'll even give credit where it's due. Despite his shady nature, he does still have some positive qualities. He sold the fake Shengang Wu to the bad guys, and then when someone other than him had to face the consequences for his actions, he basically just played both sides so that the bad guys would continue to be screwed over while the good guys would get away scot-free, which I'll give credit where it's due. That's actually pretty damn smart. And I actually do like that he did use his quick wits to his favor as he managed to find a way around the showdown, as he managed to find a way around the bad guys by swapping out the real Shengang Wu for fake ones again. So, again, I do like that. It is kind of not... hold on one second. Sorry, I was trying to collect my thoughts. But, yeah, like I said... I at least like that. Like I said, you can easily tell why Chucky Choo has lasted as long as he has. As while he's a con man, he's a smart con man. And he does have a very likable personality, as he's able to get you onto his side, which honestly I think is a good quality for a con man, okay, to be fair, con men are not good people, but it's a personality trait you want people to have when you're actively stealing from them. Because if they like you, they're more willing to trust you, even if they know that what you're selling is probably snake oil. So I do at least like that. I do like how they establish that. And all at the same time, he's not evil. He's slime, but he isn't evil. So you can, and I gotta be honest here, I can see a little of Dojo in him. I can understand how he and Dojo are related, as I think they're like cousins or something. So, and you can see a little bit of the family resemblance in the fact that they're both not just dragons, but you can also see it in their demeanors, how they act, the way they just kind of go over the top a little, how knowledgeable they are, and how they're able to turn the tables on some. Because Dojo can be pretty smart when he wants to be, and I do like how we see that reflected with Chucky, especially since he also has a copy of the Xiaolin Showdown rulebook, so what can you do? So, I actually do like that. It's just that by the end, I don't really know if there was a lesson learned with him. It's just, he came in, he caused some shit, the good guys got caught in the middle of it, he played enough of the angles that he'd get out scot-free, while also ensuring that Dojo and his friends didn't have to pay for his mistakes. So, I'll at least give him some kudos. There is some fun to be had there in that regard, and I don't hate him in the end of the day. It's just that by the end of the episode, I don't really feel like he went through much of an arc. It's just that he's a con man who just kind of managed to slip on by, only managed to make sure there weren't a lot of casualties as a result of his actions, and by the end, just managed to find a really good gig by becoming the temple dragon for Master Monk Guan. So, what can you do? I wonder if he can shapeshift too. I don't know. Don't care either. Because again, I don't think he comes back after this episode. Point is, Chucky Choo as a character is likable, but not really much of an arc to him. He's mostly just there to be a little shit. And otherwise, the rest of the episode is fine. Nothing really is expanded on in this episode. It's just it's a filler episode in the purest sense. Aside from the Kazuzu Atom being introduced as a new Shengung Wu, nothing really important happens beyond the Xiaolin monks going back to the Xiaolin temple. Otherwise, it's just kind of a filler episode. It's there to help. It's just there to bring in some antics, have the Xiaolin monks duke it out with some baddies. It's have an honestly pretty interesting Xiaolin showdown in the form of the Xiaolin pinball, which that's creative. I'll give you that. That's kind of fun. And also, yeah, really, I can't really think of much else to it. It's just silly little episode, introduce this silly little side character who's basically just a con man, have some antics, have some fight scenes, bing bang boom, Xiaolin monks end up back where they belong in the end. So what can you do? I don't know. I'm trying to think of a lot of other things to make that I think I really liked about the episode, because I don't think I hate this episode at all. It's not bad at all. I can say with absolute certainty that I did enjoy myself by the end, and this doesn't feel like in the same level of filler as like the Bird of Paradise episode, where I swear to God almost nothing happened there. But at the same time, it feels like that there wasn't a lot of growth here, not a lot of expansion, and while we did get maybe some more developments by having the Xiaolin monks go back to the temple, at the end of the day, it's just kind of filler. Nothing really ventured, nothing really gained aside from the Kazuzu Atom. So yeah, on the whole, it's all right, I guess. It's all right. It's all right. Somewhere in that range. I'm more leaning towards all right because there was some fun to be had with Chucky Choo, but otherwise, it's just fine. It's just kind of fine. So, yeah, that's really much all I have to say. Sorry, I'm not really more in depth, but that's really all I can think of for this episode. So, yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed the video regardless. I'm Samuel Johnson, and I hope to see you next week. Take care.